Pharisees and high priests and teachers of the law became so constipated with hatred, they began to conjure up a plan to put Jesus to death. They began chanting, "Let's stop Jesus! Let's stop Jesus!"
Then came what the apostles thought the depressing night. Jesus gathered them together to eat his last supper. Jesus held up a cup of wine and he said,
"Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is my blood, which will be shed for you."
That's the strangest toast I ever heard.
Peter thought to himself. Jesus continued,
"Take this bread, all of you, and eat it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you. Do this in memory of me."
Though Peter didn't argue, he'd rather remember Jesus with a lamb sandwich. Nonetheless, Bartholomew tried to lighten up the atmosphere by telling a knock-knock joke, but Jesus interrupted him, yelling,
"Hey! Someone at the slaves table is going to betray me! And that someone is you!"
Jesus pointed his finger at Judas, and sure enough, Judas was paid by the Pharisees to help arrest Jesus in a sneaky manner. When Jesus pointed his finger at Judas, a bolt of lightning shot out from it and zapped Judas in his money bag. Judas screamed, left the table, and ran off without even finishing what was on his plate.
Peter tried to cheer Jesus up by saying,
Lord, I'm ready to go to prison with you and to die with you."
Not quite, Peter. By the time the rooster crows tomorrow, you will have already denied me 3 times.
Jesus was feeling really down, so he went up to the Mount of Olives to make a collect call to God.
Suddenly, out from the bushes came a wild pack of Pharisees, high priests, teachers of the law, and third bodyguards, all led by Judas the betrayer. Judas betrayed Jesus with a handshake, and the thugs grabbed Jesus and waved swords and clubs in his face as if he were guilty of forgery. Peter approached, saw the chaos, drew his sword, and with one mighty blow, chopped off a thug's head.
"Enough of this!"
Jesus proclaimed as he healed the thug's head back on.
They hauled Jesus off to the slammer, but Peter followed far behind. Someone noticed Peter's face and said,
"Look, that man was with Jesus too!"
No, I wasn't. I don't know him. I never saw him. I don't know what you're talking about. So don't ever ask me about that man again. Do you understand? I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him.
Just then, a rooster crowed. Peter realized what he'd just done. He ran up and wept bitterly, remembering Jesus' production. Peter felt even worse, knowing he denied Jesus 7 times.
Jesus was passed through the judicial system. He met up with the head honcho Pontius Pilate. Pilate personally didn't think Jesus was guilty of anything, but the crowd was an angry one, so Pilate became weak in his beliefs and turned Jesus over to the people to do as they wished.
Jesus was mocked and beaten by the guards. They spit on him, kicked sand in his face, spanked him, and said bad things to him. He was forced to carry a large cross up the hill called Skull. The angry crowd threw stones as he passed by. The guards put the crown of thorns on his head. Jesus was really feeling sad now. And the only thing that kept him going was the will to live forever.
The guards nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross and stuck the cross into the ground. The sky went black, and there was a great earthquake. Fire shot from the cracks and the fierce winds blew, messing up everyone's hair. The crowd danced around the fires and chanted a satanic prayer. Jesus looked toward the heavens and said,
Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing.
Jesus Christ, shut up, yelled the guard, and pierced Jesus' flesh with a spear, making Jesus scream.
Father, into your hands I place my spirit.
Jesus then choked, croaked, and kicked the holy bucket.
And unhappy. It'd been 3 days since Jesus died and was buried. Suddenly, they heard a voice behind them shout,
Surprise! Peace be with you! Surprise! I'm back!
The apostles were filled with terror. They thought they were seeing a ghost. There was much chaos when Jesus yelled,
Peace! And quiet!
Everyone calmed down and stared fearfully at Jesus.
Is a ghost solid enough to smash this altar in half?
Asked Jesus, and with one mighty blow, the altar snapped in two. Hooray! There was much celebration in the room. Peter was so happy he gave Jesus a lamb sandwich he'd been saving for himself, for what is written came true.
The Son of Man would die for the forgiveness of sins, and on the third day he shall rise again.
Matthew popped the cork off a bottle of Judea's best. The apostles all agreed. This had to be the best party Jesus ever threw. But just as the place started hopping, Jesus told them there was still much more work to be done. As he said this, he blessed them with the Holy Spirit and began to rise towards the heaven. Filled with great joy, the apostles saw the skies open up and the angels they have heard on high broke into song.
Glory to God in the